Okay, built on a new harp. Again, it's telling me. There you go. Built on a new harp again today. This one was in D2. It's kind of a bigger harp. This would be what my bass pattern normally would be, but I took a more aggressive taper along the reed, and it ended up being a D2. And I do like how it turned out. Got real tight gaps. Bell rings good, but there's a lot of power behind it. Yeah, I do like how that harp turned out. It turned out nice. Excited to be building more harps, and that's for the upcoming 2019 NAJH Fest. We're on a little bit later tonight. We'll probably just do, about 20 minutes for the upload. How's everybody doing? What harps have you been playing? How is the Great Out Yonder? Oh, that's one I haven't played in a while. The half GAN, as I'd call it, or the asymmetrical one. Oh, that was fun. It's fun to get lost in the harp. Sometimes after a week, you just need to get lost in the harp. I haven't been playing as much these past couple days. Marshall says, "Oh yeah, it was really relaxing for me as well." I haven't been able to play as much as I normally would at the end of the week. These past couple days, just been super busy, and I was just doing. I'm kind of like rising and falling tones is what I call them, but I don't know what everybody else calls them. I'm kind of making a cupping shape with my tongue, like this. I don't know what word I would use to cut my tongue like that. I'm making a cupping shape with my tongue, and I'm blowing air out slowly while either curling the tip of my tongue up and driving the sides of my tongue down, or vice versa. There's a lot of different subtlety, it seems like, in there, at least for the tones in your head. Just cupping the tongue, and like if I was going wee, but I'm adding in some open closed. Anyways, that was a Gorka harp. We'll see what else we got to play. Give another go at this one that I built today. I built a pretty big, well, pretty long harp in D2, about the size of a bass. So are you going to make another video about the kinds of shape changes and the final sound quality? I might when I learn some more about it. And I also I'm going to have some more videos up and coming on making harps. But I got some books today on metallurgy. I'm going to spend my evenings next week learning about more metallurgical things and spring steels and everything. And this is that's an interesting thing that you brought that up. This harp is a D2, just like this harp is as well. They're actually made out of the same type of spring steel. Even though this is longer, it's the same note, but it's got quite a bit more power when you have a more wedge-shaped or what I'm going to call an aggressive taper, but I don't know if that's what other people call it. When you have more springiness, more stiffness at back, and less weight up front, and a long reed, it results in a fairly different style. Let's give a listen. Quite a bit of volume. Try my old D2. Quite a bit less volume. This one's a little bit cleaner. Let's try this one again. Quite a bit more volume, more punch to it. The reed's got quite a bit more stiffness spread out along a longer reed. This other D2. Yeah, I like both of them for different reasons. That one's a little bit cleaner because there's quite a bit less volume. This one's quite a bit louder. My gaps are a lot more consistent on the new ones too. Did some decorations on it. And then tempered it. Tempered it a little bit hotter than I normally tempered them. Tempered them all the way up. It kind of settled into being almost a black purple. Some of the other ones, I'll take them up to just purple or light blue. And it seems to affect the way the reed feels the most. Let's try one in purple. Really enjoy the new styles. So I've got ways to make a more subdued tone harp in the same note. A little bit easier to tell in between the different overtones, if I'm saying that correctly. A little bit cleaner. But this one's got quite a bit more power, so it's not quite as clean. Two drastically different harps in the same note with the same spring steel, but with different lengths and a different taper. This one has much less taper than this one does. Just similar looking triggers. Trigger on the newer one's longer. Try some other harps I've made. I'm really excited at where the harps are going. This one's going to be one for the NAJH festival. I'll get those other ones out. We'll just compare them a little bit, play them just a little bit, and we'll put them away. I'm excited to be building more and more harps in the future. Here's the raffle one. Get the coconut oil off it. Here's the raffle one. I took it to a dark purple. Did a really recurve trigger. That coconut oil off there. That one was F2. Really enjoy how that one plays. Really liking the new harps. I'm excited to be making more too. I have more time and my methods are getting better. Got a reproducible quality. That's what I've been after though. This was another F2 maybe? Don't remember. May not have tuned it. Some of them I leave untuned, some of them I tune. No, this was a. Yeah, I think that's F2 maybe. Really clean, but it's got quite a bit of a punch to it. Some of them I've been doing. Oh yeah, on the newer ones, especially the ones I do in .025 spring steel, the way I've been tapering them, they got quite a bit of power behind them. And I've gotten to where I can gap really consistently. That's a pretty consistent gap that when compress absolutely evenly. We want it to touch all the way along the reed as it compresses, because that's in my opinion, that's the way the harp responds in your mouth. When you have a little bit of tooth pressure against it, especially in a stiffer reeded harp, it's going to close, and they're going from very, very tight to touching all at once. So the tips, it's just a little bit spaced further out, so as it compresses, because I find that if you gap it completely consistently all the way to the tips, when it's in your mouth and you start putting pressure up against it, it gets tighter at the tips, and that makes the sound almost kind of shrill. So if you have a harp that compresses evenly, as that pressure is applied, it doesn't throw the make the gaps uneven, make them tighter at the tips. You want it to compress all the way to the tips. Something I've noticed studying other people's harps as well. The accordion harps seem to be really, really good at doing that, making harps that you can, when you close the gaps, they close absolutely consistently all the way down it. Let's see, another one. I played this one and that one and this one. Oh, here's the one I built for myself. Where did you go? Good D sharp. Because I've been experimenting around with doing some different stuff grind wise. Like this one, I just started out just beveling it, and then later ones had a little bit more of a bevel, and the latest ones actually come to like a beak. So there's a bit of machine grinding, then there's on belt grinders, and then there's a bit of blending everything by hand with a file. So it's more refined shape. It's more work to get stuff like that, but it fits in your mouth more comfortably. Even just beveling the ends, I've found, makes it pretty comfortable on the edges of your mouth. It's the D2 sharp. Look at the trigger shape. Yeah, that same I've been liking. And every trigger shape I don't do the exact same, because every trigger seems to bend a little bit differently. So I kind of make the trigger shapes by feel, just whatever the trigger wants to do. Oh, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed getting lost in that harp. So I'm excited for the type of harps I'm making now, and I can make them more. I can reproduce them more consistently, and just know overall more of what the harp's doing. I fought for so long, for 2.5 years. I fought every time I would crimp a reed in. Hey, Elliot Foster, how y'all doing? Every time I would crimp a reed in, it would deform off to the side, and I'd spend almost 50% of the time of every harp build just chasing it and trying to fix the gaps. Now I can crimp them and they move little to none, which makes it so much easier to finish a harp out. And I'm making better channels for the reed so that when I crimp them, it's not deforming way down or way up. So a lot of I've had a lot of harps fail or go from being what could potentially be a really great harp to a really bad harp, or a harp that just doesn't turn out right in the crimp. I always say a little prayer and meditate just a little bit right before I do the crimp, because that is the part that I failed on the most consistently. Oh, have a great one. Oh, Dr. Beeman, have a good one. Probably going to tend to the bees. It's bee season. Somebody says, hello from the UK. What is the best harp for anyone who's thinking about taking the harp up? Well, that's a good question. I don't know if there is a best harp, but I know there's a lot of good options. And you kind of have to decide which direction you want to go. Do you want to get into really saturated harps? Many people start off on like a Glazerin or a Szilagyi harp, like the Szilagyi Chancellor, which I can't find them anywhere at the moment. Very saturated, breathy. They're around $25, $30, somewhere around there, and easy to hold. And this is actually my first real harp, was a Chancellor. Now, really easy to play, but does require some precision. It's easy to miss strike on them, but it teaches you precision. So loud, sensitive, responds to everything in a really balanced way. If you want to go into really saturated harps, loud harps with that techno, outer space, alien, especially robotic vibe. A lot of people do like the Glazerin Wave, Compass, or Lighthouse. This is a Wave. Kind of squelchy, kind of hillbilly sounding. But when you apply, that's when you're applying the breath to it. But when you apply no breath, or just breathing in and out through your nose, really robotic, really outer spacey sounding. People who want to start off on like a beginner bass, the one I always suggest. One thing about beginner harps is you don't want a huge investment, but you do want some good quality. So it's not always best to start off on super expensive harps. And when you have harps from like the $16 to $25 to $30 price range, you can get really, really good quality in a harp there, especially around, $25, $30. This is a Lighthouse. It's a bass harp, good bass harp for beginners. If you have one, Glazerin are the easiest harp I found for people to work on, and especially fix themselves. I fix Glazerin harps for people when they drop them or step on them. But most of the time when people get a hold of me, when they dropped or stepped on a Glazerin harp, just as long as you haven't damaged the reed, if you just bent the frame, they're really easy to adjust back. You can take a pair of, I think these are called snap ring pliers, and put it in the back of the decks, not on the sharp part where the reed is, but just put it on the back of the decks and spread the harp tips out just a tad. And I do that sometimes on beginner ones, because when I buy Glazerin, I'm buying a ton of Glazerin harps. So if I have, say, 20 or 30 Lighthouse sitting there, maybe 3 of them might play a little bit clicky. So I'll take and just spread the gaps just a touch, just at the tips, because that's where a harp's throw the least accurate is, right at the tips. They have a little bit of wobble when you hit it. So you can take a Glazerin, you can fix them really easy, and you can also, if one's playing clicky, you can fix it pretty easy, because you can literally compress this back in if you want to bring the gaps down, or spread it from the backs with pliers. But anyways, I got lost in an explanation. The Lighthouse is a good beginner bass. Other good harps. If you then these are saturated, which means there's an abundance of higher overtones. That crackling nature kind of sounds almost like a cicada or locust is what saturated instruments are. Non-saturated ones would be like Morchang, Monarp. I don't know if there's a beginner Monarp out there, but like the for people who want to learn the cleaner overtones, the more subdued ones. I don't know if that's a correct way to explain it as subdued, but the cleaner overtones, the non-saturated overtones. For starting out on a Morchang, what I start people out on is the Gorka Talus, which is actually one of my favorite Morchang. I play it all the time because they're easy to hold. They're that same like Chancellor type shape, but they're really thick. Sometimes the reeds on them are a little bit stiffer. So when you're approaching a Morchang, you need to approach it with the understanding that you're playing a harp that's non-saturated and that you're also going to be playing with a stiffer reed. A Morchang won't cover up your technique quite as much. So if you're doing anything inconsistently, like not properly reinforcing the sounds the harp makes, it'll show up a lot more apparent on a Morchang. But once you get the grasp of that, and especially getting into open close, because you can really hear your open and close tones really well on a harp that's non-saturated. So that's the one I suggest for people getting their first Morchang, and it'll probably, if you get good on it, you'll probably be one of your favorite Morchang for a while. And some of them play a little bit lower like that one. And some of them play a little bit in a higher tuning. Well, they're not tuned any note. And I can tune them to note. I've got a few that I tuned to note. And I'm probably going to be offering more of the tuned. This is a Gorka Talus in the future. Here's one that's a little bit higher sounding. But then again, it has quite a bit stiffer of a reed, but it's really easy to work with. Yeah, it's really, you can really hear that closed tone. That's closing the glottis. Like if you were to say words with glottal stops, like better, butter, bottle, better, butter, bowl. You're opening and closing your glottis. Those are my suggestions for a harps for beginners. It's not just one best harp. It's what you want to do and where you want to go on the instrument first. I used to think that saturated instruments are the best for beginners because you get more volume at first and you get everything's easier on them. But I think that the people who start off on non-saturated instruments, I think that reinforces more making better mouth shapes to find the overtones to reproduce. So there are advantages to either direction you want to go for your first harp. Anyways, we are 28 minutes. It was a later upload tonight. It was a busy weekend. We'll play one more harp and we'll call it quits. What should we play? I'm going to play my old... It's a bass I made quite a while back. Probably going to be making more bass for the upcoming festival, the 2019 North American Jaw Harp Festival. Anyways, I love y'all. Keep your harps clean, keep them dry, keep them oiled. Have a wonderful weekend. Be good to each other. Harp out.
Okay.
Love y'all.